Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Bible teaching snippet of the day. Well, today what I want to do is do maybe part two to the teaching yesterday and just go just a tad bit deeper and actually kind of pull some things together for you because, some of my teachings tend to be spread out and not everybody watches all of the different teachings, okay? They don't watch me every day, and sometimes some of the dots don't connect, okay? So today what I want to do is kind of recap yesterday and add some things in or go back and just pull it together if that's okay. So let's start with yesterday. I talked about how my first experience of as a Christian, as a believer in church, I was in the youth group listening to the youth pastor who I was good friends with. We ate out together. We were big buddies, so we had a good rapport. He was talking to the youth. They're asking questions, so I asked the question about why God added animals into our diet in Genesis 9. Okay, now I was a little bit surprised. Okay, now I have studied the Bible at this point for at least 18 months very heavily, guys. When I first met Jesus in my mother's hospital room, I studied the Bible for 3 hours a day, every day, for the first 5 months or so. Then I semi-retired from one of my businesses. I got rid of it, so I was at home a lot, and I would study 8 or 10 hours a day, and I did that for well up to and over a year. So I was not really a Bible dummy, but I will say this. I studied mostly the Gospels and Jesus because I wanted to know more and learn, and the New Testament, okay? So the Genesis account of us being vegetarians in Genesis 1 didn't mean a lot to me. And when I found out that God supposedly changed his mind and expanded our food menu in Genesis 9, that surprised me. I just didn't really understand why God would start in Genesis 1 feeding us vegetables and stuff and then need to feed us animals. And of course, the pastor, like I said yesterday, said that everything changed, the environment, the atmosphere, as well as our own physical bodies, okay? And so we needed animals to survive. Now, what I know is that eating animal meat is absolutely not needed or necessary, guys. Look, we don't have to go to a middleman to get protein or anything else, or even B12. All of that is just propaganda that we've been told and taught, okay? Everybody has to try to get those in their body from different sources sometimes, like B12 and vitamin D and C and stuff. So it's not so much that everything changed back in Genesis 9 and we now need to eat animals. Okay, let me get back on target. What I want to ask are just some questions because, we are almost, as believers, taught not to ask questions. We're taught to listen and to believe what we're told. And the person on stage gathers a verse here or there as a support to that doctrine that their specific denomination or their church believes, okay? And so we're kind of shut down in a lot of ways. But here's a question I want to something I want us to think through together today. What writings did the sects of the Jews, the Jewish sects, that's S-E-C-T-S, sects of Jews, who did not believe in or practice animal sacrifices, nor did they kill animals to eat meat. What did these groups believe and know? What writings were they reading to believe that and to live that way? And the groups and I can give you some of the groups. The groups are Ebionites, the Nazarenes, and the Essenes, okay? Now, from here, I want to read to you out of this book. Now, I wouldn't recommend that everybody buy it. I bought it really to put in my library, okay? It just has a lot of different people in the Christian faith that were and are, some of them are still alive, going through history of Christianity, people that did not eat meat and taught and lived by telling Christians that we shouldn't eat meat. Okay, but I want to read you something real quick. Okay, I'm on page 7 here. And she says, this is by Dr. Holly Roberts, by the way, and she has more than one degree in whatever. But she wrote this. During the time of Jesus, Judaism was an extraordinarily diverse religion. Okay. that means there's a lot of different sects, kind of like right now today. We've got lots of different denominations, and all those different denominations and groups believe different things, okay? The historian Josephus, I have his writings, wrote that as far back as a century before Jesus, okay, that there were different groups, okay? So we know through historical writings that there was different groups that believed different things, okay? The Essenes, living at Qumran, Palestine, and Damascus between 150 and 100 BC, before Christ, were predominantly a vegetarian sect. Porpopathy, I can't say that name, Philo, Josephus, and Plenty the Elder, all, that's 4 different historical writers, all reported that the Essenes were, let me flip my page here, were primarily vegetarian. Josephus revealed that the Essenes did not offer sacrifices of other living beings, but offered themselves as sacrifices. In other words, they lived their lives as a sacrifice to God. They didn't kill each other on an altar. They're saying they didn't kill and take the life of living beings. The Essenes devoted their lives entirely to an agricultural husbandry. And what that means is they lived off the land according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. Okay, so that's what I wanted to read to you out of that book. Now the next thing, now I'm going to throw this in, and this will mess you up, and some of you, if you want to, you can put in the comments below. Did you know that there are ancient writings about the Passover that do not, and they vary, okay, but they do not record the slaughtering of the lamb, the blood over the doorpost. They also only record that there was a plague that took the lives of the Egyptians, and that the Israelites did not die from the plague because they basically did a self-quarantine from that plague, and that not all of the firstborn would die, but instead Moses prophesied to the Pharaoh, okay, that the plague was going to take their lives and that his firstborn would be included in that plague. Now, I know that kind of surprises you too, but I have learned these things through studying about the Essenes and different sects of Christianity or sects of believers in the God of the Bible. And so it was a very different, diverse time in before Jesus' day, and even in Jesus' day, and after Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection. So from here, what I want to do, I think, is I want to just kind of recap yesterday, okay? Because I've given you about all the information you probably can stand. I know. I just love to teach all of these wonderful things that I learn and find out, because what it does is it proves to me that God is a nonviolent, peace-loving God who wants us to live like Him in the earth. Nonviolence, peaceful, loving each other, loving His creation. Okay, so let's start with, back a while back, what I want to do is talk to you again about Genesis chapter 9, verse 3. Now, the New King James Version, okay, I'm going to run down the different versions and connect these for you and let you see for yourself in this one teaching what makes the most sense in the recordings of Genesis 9, where the ark settles, Noah gets off the boat, and what actually went on. So let me go there. Genesis 9, verse 3, and this is in the New King James Version. I'll show you. I printed it off, and I'm just going to read it off for you, okay? Here we go. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. And there's that. So that right there says that God has given us everything that moves and breathes and moves. If it's alive and moving, kill it and eat it. That never really resonated with me, but let me keep going. Now here's a print off of the Greek Septuagint. You can see right here, this is the Greek Septuagint, okay? And it says right here in verse 3, and every reptile which is living shall be to you for meat, M-E-A-T. Every reptile. So it's not every animal, it's only the reptiles and the green herbs. So that really confused me. So that's why I didn't teach on it, okay? Now, this is what I taught about back in February the 6th. And this is the Jerusalem Bible. And prior to me discovering the Genesis Apocryphon, this version and understanding of what was written made more sense, okay? And here it basically says that God has, well, let me read it because I don't want to mess up, okay? This is Genesis chapter 9, verse 3. Every living and crawling thing shall provide food for you, no less than the foliage plants. I have given you everything with this exception. You must not eat flesh with life, that is to say, blood in it. Now he says, I will demand an account of your lifeblood. I will demand an account from every beast and from every man. So basically, what this says is that, we can take the fruits and vegetables off of plants overall. We don't kill them. Now, some stuff we do on the vegetation stuff, but overall, we pick apples off the trees. We pick tomatoes off the tomato plants. We pick the beans and stuff off of the branches of the foliage plants, okay? And so we don't kill and destroy the plant overall, okay? So this, according to the way this is written, it sounds like that we can use some of the cow's milk or the goat, but not to take the baby and throw it in a dumpster so it can die and we can have all the milk that the mother produces. This doesn't say that we should abuse animals and impregnate them on purpose so that we can produce more and more animals so we can slaughter and eat them for their flesh. No, it says basically, okay, so if you want to use some of their milk while they're feeding their babies, and she's still lactating and giving milk, go ahead and get you a cup of that. I'm not going to be mad about that. And then, if you want to use some of it to make butter or cheese, that's okay. And if you want to eat a chicken egg here or there or use it in baking, you haven't killed and hurt an animal, okay? But we go too far. Humans always go too far. But this right here, clearly in this, unless you've been taught to believe something different, this clearly just says, hey, don't hurt the animals. Don't take their lives, okay? So then the next one, what I taught on yesterday, is the Genesis Apocryphon. And this actually helped me clear up about people saying that God put it in as an emergency answer to that there's no food on the earth because he's destroyed all the vegetation, so now he's got to let us kill animals so mankind don't die. That is so beyond believing in a good God who already had planned for the animals and Noah to survive a whole year on the boat. Guys, he could have planted vegetables and grow a garden on the boat as well. Anyway, so there was plenty of vegetation in the earth when the ark settles and lands after it has been in the water for almost a year, by the way, okay? It might be like 365 to 368 days. It varies. It depends on what you read about it, but it's about a year. And then down here it says, I'm going to read it one more time today, be fruitful and multiply and fill the land. He's telling Noah to have some more kids, okay? Fill the earth with human beings. Rule over all of them. Now watch, what is them? He's not saying to rule over the animals, like have dominion over them, like we're kind of taught, twisted like. It says have dominion over them, over the seas, over the wilderness, over the mountains, and everything that is in them. So yes, we do have a certain amount of governorship or rulership in the earth, but watch what he says next. God says, I am now giving to you and your sons everything for food, that of the vegetation and herbs of the land, but you shall not eat blood. Now, if we keep going here, okay, we will find that what the Genesis Apocryphon lines up and completely agrees with are writings that's not in your Bible anymore, okay? Jubilees chapter 6 and Jubilee chapter 11. When Noah and his sons get off the boat, they make a covenant with God that they will not kill any living being. They won't kill each other and war with each other, nor will they kill the animals or eat the blood. And that's what it's called, eating of blood, not drinking blood, the eating of blood. This also lines up right here with Enoch, where Enoch tells us where mankind learned to eat animal flesh. That was from the fallen ones. The fallen ones, they are the ones that started to hunt and injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fish to eat their flesh, one after the other. It's right here in Enoch. We know that the fallen ones, the powers of darkness, are the ones that started doing that in the earth. Mankind followed along. God cleansed the earth to get rid of all of the bloodbath and the violence. And then when they get off the boat, one of the first things God says, now, I want you to promise me that you will not kill the animals. It says, as long as you and your sons do not consume blood. And Noah and his family adhered to the covenant by cultivating the land. See, that's also clear, guys, when we have Enoch and Jubilee and we find out about Genesis Apocryphan, now it all makes sense on Genesis 9, verse 3. God never, ever told any man for any reason to kill a living being. It's something that mankind did, not God, okay? And the fallen angels first, I should say that. The fallen ones did it first, but then man learned that from them, and they started doing it. Well, listen, I've gone a little over time, and I hope that you will give me grace today, and give me grace every day, okay? I love you, and I want the very, very best for you. I'll see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.